Universidad Militar Nueva Granada, en Bogotá, Colombia. Transmite UMNG Radio. UMNG Radio. Una emisora alternativa, cultural e independiente. Desde la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada. Esta es UMNG Radio.
La tierra nos habla en colores, en texturas, en vida. Cada trazo es un puente entre nuestra esencia y el mundo que habitamos. La Universidad Militar Nueva Granada te invita a expresar tu compromiso con el medio ambiente y los derechos humanos a través del arte. Participa en el concurso de pintura Raíces, trazos por la tierra y la vida. Óleo, acuarela, acrílico y más, con premios de hasta 3 millones de pesos. Inscribe tu obra del 12 al 31 de agosto. Deja que tu arte inspire un mundo más compasivo, solidario y comprometido con la vida. Lo que ocurre en la universidad, los acontecimientos y sus protagonistas están en UMNG Radio.
Tune in and speak up. Tune in and speak up. Hello, English learners. Want to learn something interesting whilst having fun? Welcome to Tune in and Speak Up, the podcast where you'll get to know this beautiful language in depth. Each week, we'll dive into exciting topics, share practical tips, and tell you fascinating English language stories. So whether you're studying, going to work, or just relaxing, connect, listen, and let's make English part of your world. Wherever you are, whenever you want, just hit play, tune in, and listen up. Tune in to UMNG Radio every Tuesday from 11 a.m. till noon. Don't just learn English, live it.
Okay, good morning. Here we are. Welcome to Tune in and Speak Up, the podcast from Universidad Militar Nueva Granada, where we explore curious stories, surprising facts, and cultural insights from around the world, all through the lens of English learning. This is the podcast where unusual events from history and culture become your classroom for English practice. I'm Jorge Bermúdez, teacher of English at the Department of Multicultural Studies at UMNG, part of the School of Education and Humanities. I'll be your guide through some of the most unusual and thought-provoking topics, from strange sports to forgotten inventions and strange scientific discoveries. Whether you're learning English as a second language or just love learning something new, this podcast is for you. Ready to improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, and engage in meaningful conversations? Then grab your headphones, tune in, and let's speak up. Today, in our podcast, Tune In and Speak Up, episode 5, cheese rolling and other peculiar sports. Let's begin in the UK, where people love traditions that are strange and funny. Imagine this: a big crowd, a big group of people waits on top of a steep, grassy hill in a village called Brockworth. Everyone's excited. Then someone lets go of a large wheel of cheese. Yes, you heard it right, cheese. It rolls quickly down the hill, and at once, many people run after it. They fall, they slip, They crash into each other and they roll on the grass as they try to catch it. The winner, the first person to cross the line and at the bottom. This wild event is called the Cheese Rolling Festival. But cheese rolling isn't the only unusual sport in Britain. Let's move from the hill to the water. Imagine putting on a snorkel and fins, not to swim with colorful fish in the sea, but in a cold, dirty trench in the ground. The water is dark and muddy, and the smell is not nice at all. Still, the goal is to swim from one end to the other using only your legs. This is bog snorkeling. Born in Wales, that's Gales, okay? Competitors jump into the water, kick hard, and wave their arms as they try not to sink in the swampy mud. It is not easy, but it makes everyone laugh. And there is one more British sport that is both strange and painful: shin kicking. Here, two people stand face to face, hold each other's shoulders, and try to kick the other's legs until someone falls. No punches, no wrestling moves, just kicks on the shins. People sometimes put straw in their trousers for protection, but it still hurts. The crowd cheers, the fighters kick, and the loser usually ends up on the ground. Now, let's leave Britain and look at other countries. In Finland, there is a sport called swamp football. Imagine playing soccer, but the field is not grass. It is a wet, muddy swamp. Players sink into the ground with every step. The ball stops rolling in the mud and people fall into the water again and again. It is very hard to play, but teams from all over Europe come together for the World Championship. Everyone gets very dirty, but they also have a lot of fun. Travel to Mongolia, and you will see a sport that is simple but very tough: the head pull. Two players sit on the ground facing each other. A leather strap goes around their heads. When the game starts, each one pulls as hard as they can. The goal is to pull the other player across a line. It looks painful, but it is a test of strength and bravery in Mongolian culture. Finally, let's go back to Finland for one of the funniest sports: the wife carrying World Championships. Each year, men carry their wives, or sometimes girlfriends or even friends, through an obstacle course with water, sand, and fences. Many men carry the women upside down, with the woman's legs over the man's shoulders. The fastest couple wins. And the prize? The wife's weight in beer. It's a mix of teamwork, laughter, and competition. In today's episode, we will look at all of these strange sports: cheese rolling, bog snorkeling, shin kicking, swamp football, head pull, and wife carrying. While we listen, we will also learn and practice new vocabulary like steep for the mountain, bog for the swamp, tumble, plunge, scramble, and flail. These words will help you describe movement in English. We will also use modal verbs: must, should, can, might, to explain what players are allowed to do, what they should do, and what could happen during the games. So we'll be talking about the rules of each sport. By the end, you will not only know about these crazy sports, but you will also be able to describe actions and rules in English with more confidence. So tie your shoelaces tight, because this journey through the strangest sports in the world is going to be a very bumpy ride. Okay, let's go to our first segment: cheese rolling, the star of the peculiar sport. Imagine you're standing at the top of Cooper's Hill in Gloucestershire, England. The hill is not only steep, the previous one, and yeah, that one. Okay, so the hill is not only steep, right? So that's not the inclination of the hill. It feels almost straight down in some parts, with a very sharp slope. When you look down, you see green grass with rocks and uneven ground. A big crowd is waiting to watch what will happen. Suddenly, someone holds up a very heavy wheel of cheese called double Gloucestershire. It weighs about 3 to 4 kilos. The cheese is released, and after just 1 second, many runners throw themselves down the hill trying to take it. The cheese rolls very fast, sometimes up to 110 kilometers per hour. The runners, well, they don't really run the whole way. Most of the time, they fall, roll, bounce, and crash. They usually cross the finish line 30 with mud, grass stains, and even some bruises. That is the red and purple marks in your skin. The winner is the first person to reach the bottom. They don't have to catch the cheese because no one can. The cheese almost always wins the race later. Let's talk about the tradition with deep roots. There you go. Cheese rolling. And, okay, this part
These guys still go home
quite
now. They're
sweet.
like the race.
Take a look at this crazy people going down. The cheese was already released, but it went down so fast that we didn't see it. Now look at these people. I figure you have to be crazy to try something like this, right? I mean, you have to. Well, maybe you have to have a couple of beers with you. Okay, here we go. Okay, the cheese reached the goal long ago.
There's the
Okay?
winner. Winner, big time.
So it's hard to explain why
That
people
seems
do
pretty.
this, right? But they seem to enjoy it.
Oh, it was bad at the bottom.
Okay. We're going to be talking about the vocabulary to describe all these movements. Take a look at that. I think he might have died, right? Though there are no official reports of people dying during the event. Okay, let's talk about this. A tradition with deep roots. Cheese rolling may sound like a modern game made for funny internet videos, but it is actually very old. The first written record is from 1826, but many historians think it started much earlier. Some believe it was connected to old pagan festivals that celebrated the start of summer. Remember that here in this slide we can see a lot of pictures from old many years ago when they started celebrating this sport, and a reference to all pagan traditions. Remember that in Europe, many traditions are connected to festivals that celebrate the arrival of spring, because it's the revival of nature, right? After the long winters. So these traditions might be connected. Every year on the spring bank holiday in late May, Cooper's Hill becomes the place for several races. There are downhill races for men, as we just saw in the video, downhill races for women, and even uphill races for children and adults. Yeah, uphill, because climbing a steep hill is also very difficult. Sometimes the event has been canceled officially because it can be dangerous. Go figure why. But even then, local people continue the races in their own way. For many people in Gloucestershire, cheese rolling is not just a sport, it is a tradition, an important step for young people, that is a rite of passage, becoming an adult, and a way to celebrate their community. The risks and the rewards. Take a look at these pictures. Let's talk about the clear problem: injuries. Many people finish the race with bruises. Remember the red and purple marks, sprains, or even broken bones. At the bottom of the hill, local rugby players usually wait to catch runners before they crash into the crowd. But here is the surprising part. Even with so many falls and accidents, there are no official deaths in the long history of the event. Every year, people get hurt, but the tradition goes on. For many, the fun and excitement are bigger than the risk. And the price? You guessed it, a wheel of cheese. Simple, tasty, and full of meaning. What started as a small local game is now famous all over the world. Tourists travel from many countries to watch or take part. Winners have come from places like Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and even Japan. In 2023, a Canadian student named Delaney Irving, here in this picture on the right, Delaney Irving became famous when she won the women's race, even though she hit her head and lost consciousness near the end. She woke up in the medical tent, holding the cheese and smiling through the pain. Cheese rolling is clearly more than just a race. It shows bravery, craziness, and happiness all at once. Okay, now let's take a look at the vocabulary and the models in action to describe this. Look, action verbs. Okay, in these pictures we can see all the different verbs. Tumble, we saw the picture falling down the mountain. Flail, the way they move their hands. Plunge, like boom, in this picture, jumping into water. And a scramble, that would be like moving in different ways, to trying to get your way back. Now, these verbs in some sentences. Look, the racers tumbled down the hill. Boom, 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 boom. We just saw that. They flailed their arms as they tried to keep balance. One competitor plunges forward, sliding on the grass, and they scrambled to get up and keep going. Now, when we combine this with the modal verbs to describe the rules, this is what we get. Some examples. Participants must run after the cheese, but they don't have to catch it. They can run, roll, or even crawl to the bottom. So there is not just one way to go down the hill. They might get hurt, but still join the race. That possibility truly exists. And finally, spectators should stay back because racers may fall into them, to describe that as a good idea. Okay, let's go to our next crazy sport, bug snorkeling. Leo, please, let's play video 2 to get an idea of what we're going to be talking about. Look at these crazy people. It's not... Okay, take a look at that and we'll talk about it. As you can see, they are not really swimming. They are trying to move like a dolphin would move in this muddy water. This is called a bog, okay? Which is a combination of it's really a trench, so it's a long hole they make and they fill with water, so it's not exactly a natural swamp, but it looks a lot like wamp. Okay, so it's called bog snorkeling, the muddy race. You also have to be crazy, not as crazy as the cheese rolling thing, but it doesn't look like much fun, but people seem to love this as well. Okay, so let's talk about the muddy race. If cheese rolling sounds dangerous, bog snorkeling sounds funny and strange. But in Wales, remember that's Gales in Spanish, it's a real event that many people enjoy. The sport started in 1976 in the town of, you can see the name right there, it is read Clanardhood, Wales. Okay, doesn't look like that. It's in their language, which is Welsh. It is the smallest town in Britain, but it is famous for its unusual competitions. Local people dug a long trench in a peat bog, fill it with water, and told people to try to swim through it. But here is the special rule. Participants cannot use normal swimming strokes. They can only use flippers, that's in the feet, to move forward. We can see that in the picture. The town, the pit bog, the competitors, and the fins, okay? The rules. Let's take a look at the rules. The course is about 110 meters long, okay? Two lengths of the muddy trench. So they have to go one way and come back. Competitors must wear snorkels and flippers, and they must keep their faces underwater the whole time. They cannot use their hands to swim, only for balance. This makes the movement look more like wiggling or flopping than real swimming. Imagine a person trying to be a dolphin, moving like a dolphin, but in dirty brown water. Records and recognition. Even if it looks silly, bog snorkeling is taken seriously by some people. World records are made at the Wainwright Bog. In 2018, Neil Rutter, here in the picture on the left, from the UK, made the men's record with a time of 1 minute and 18 seconds. The women's record made in 2014 by Christy Johnson, here on the right-hand side picture, is 1 minute and 22 seconds. Okay, let's talk about the vocabulary and models in action in this for these sports. Some examples of the verbs that we see. Look, here we have in the first picture the snorkel and the flippers to talk about the equipment, and then we have the normal swimming strokes. Yes, that you usually do in the swimming pool. And to the right, the idea of sinking. Glug, 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 glug. Now take a look at the sentences to describe the rules. Competitors must wear snorkels and flippers. They can't use normal swimming strokes. They might swallow muddy water. For sure, that's going to happen. And they should keep moving quickly to avoid sinking. Glug, 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 glug. Okay, let us know your opinion about this crazy sport. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The third segment, which is called shin kicking, a simple but painful sport. And let's watch a video to illustrate what we're talking about here.
This is Britain's answer to Roman
Wow.
wrestling.
Why do people do
Kicking the
this?
shin out of your opponent.
I will never know.
This is the National Shin Kicking Championships. But according to Judge James Wiseman, there's more to it than...
Look at these men's pants or trousers. They look big because they are filled with straw, a way to protect a little bit their legs, right? Look, that's straw they put in their socks and in their trousers for protection.
The competitions are judged best of
They
three.
say that it looks like the original Roman fight, so probably it's like a reminiscence of those Roman Empire times. And here we have the happy winner. He throws his sweater to the crowd. Etc.
They didn't think I was, and then obviously I've come here this evening and won it.
The contest was the centerpiece of the Cotswold Olympics, which have
We
been
have
running
champagne
on
and
for
everything
some
like
400
Formula
years.
One.
Other events at which include the wheelbarrow race,
Okay,
sailors,
and that's the
war.
a little bit of other sports that played during that festival. Okay, let's take a look at these pictures. Now let's move from water to land and to one of the most painful sports in Britain, shin kicking. This sport started in the early 1600s. That's a long time ago. It was part of village games and fairs. Two people stand face to face, hold each other's collars, and try to make the other fall by kicking their shins. So here in the pictures, we can see shin, that's the part of the body we're talking about, the shin, SH, no, chin, CH, that would be this part. This is chin, and in your legs, we call that shin. And to the right, we see an old document depicting the different village sports and particularly the shin kicking sport from about 400 years ago. Rules and style. Shin kicking has a few easy rules. You must hold your opponent by the shoulders. You must try to kick their shins until they fall. And that's it. Basically, that's very easy. In the past, players put straw inside their trousers to protect their legs, but even with straw, the sport hurts a lot. Matches are usually short, but very strong. Okay, let's talk about the vocabulary and the models in use. Here we have the verbs kick. That's what we saw in the video. Grab with your hands. Shove. Look at this person pushing the other one in a very violent way. Stumble. Boom, 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 boom. Going down. Collapse. Total collapse, right? Now, examples with models to talk about the rules. Competitors must grab each other's shoulders. There's no other place in the opponent's body for grabbing and being valid. They can't defend by shoving the opponent. So it's one thing you cannot do. You cannot push your opponent. They might stumble and fall quickly if they lose balance. And finally, they should wear padding to reduce injury. Yes, it would be like a good idea. Okay, let's move on to the next crazy sport. Okay, it's called swamp football, soccer in the mud. Finland originally, but now practiced worldwide. Okay, let's watch a video See what so you can see what we're talking about. Okay, it is very very
with the rugged terrain of swampy marshlands.
crazy.
Teams from around the world gather to compete in this quirky and entertaining tournament, which has gained popularity for its unique blend of athleticism and humor. The tournament typically takes place in late summer, when the marshlands are at their muddiest and most challenging. The playing field is a chaotic mess of splashing water, flying mud, and determined athletes creating a spectacle that is as exhilarating as it is amusing. This isn't just a random act of muddy mayhem. The Swamp Soccer World Championships have been a Finnish tradition since 1998. Originally conceived as a fun summer training exercise for
That's a
cross-country
goal right
skiers.
there.
Today, nearly 200 teams from all over the globe compete across men's,
I'm sure it's
women's,
dangerous.
mixed, masters, and hobbyist categories. It's a celebration of athleticism, camaraderie, and perhaps a healthy dose of madness.
Okay. So, swamp football. Now we go into even deeper mud, but this time as a team. This is swamp football, a funny version of soccer that started in Finland in 1998. Today, it is also played in other countries like the UK, Turkey, and Iceland. Imagine a soccer field turned into a huge mud bath. Teams of 6 players run through the heavy mud to pass or kick a normal football. The field is smaller than in regular soccer, about 60 meters by 60 by 35 meters, and there is no offside rule. Okay, so no offside. Rules and gameplay. Games are short, only 2 halves. That is the 2 parts, the first part and the second part. They are called halves, okay? 2 halves of 12 to 13 minutes because the mud make players very tired. Yeah, the mud makes players very tired, that's for sure. Corner kicks, penalties, and throw-ins are done by dropping the ball onto your foot. So, for example, if you're going to kick a penalty, you don't have to put the ball on the mud. You hold the ball in your hand, and then you drop it, and as is falling down, you kick the ball. Okay. The goalkeeper can only hold the ball inside a small 3-meter circle in the penalty area. Why people like this game? Swamp football is messy and funny. Players wade, stumble, splash, and laugh while trying to score. The Swamp Football World Championship in Hiirinsalmi, Finland, has been played since 1998 and still brings hundreds of teams from around the world. Okay, let's take a look at this vocabulary and the modals in action to talk about the verbs. Look, wait. That's the way. That's how you move when you're walking through mud, right? Plunge. We saw that in the previous sport. That's jumping into the mud in this case. Squelch, like we can see in the picture, how these people are moving, also moving. It's all the first one and the third one are related to the way you walk in the mud. And stumble, remember, going down. Now, examples with modals to talk about these rules. Players must wade through the thick mud before they can even reach the ball. So you have to walk. It's not really walking, it's wading through the mud, which makes it very, very difficult. Sometimes you can plunge into a puddle to block your opponent's kick. I think we saw that in the video. Someone plunged in front of an opponent to block their kick. you should squelch forward carefully because the ground is slippery and uneven. So moving forward, but carefully. And even the best players can stumble, boom, in the swamp, making the game unpredictable. Okay, very good. Let's take a look at the next crazy, peculiar, and unusual sport. It's called head pool, an Inuit Arctic game that is from the Eskimos in the North Pole. We're going to watch a segment of a video to illustrate it. Yeah, now in this video, we don't see, these are the descendants of the Inuit. They're Inuit, the Eskimos, but they are not on the snow, as we can see. So if the loop is loose, you win. I mean, you have to keep your head up so this band keeps in place. And you have to pull in a way that you drag your opponent towards a line. Look, we can see how the woman on the right is trying to pull the opponent, right? And when they cross a line on the ground, they win. Or when the band is loose, right there, they also win. That's why this woman in pink is trying to keep her head up all the time, very, very dramatically. Okay, very good. I think that's enough. We get the idea. Now take a look at this head pool, an Inuit Arctic game. How it works. Now we go north to the Arctic, where there is little space but a lot of competition. Head pool is a traditional Inuit game that has been played for many generations in small houses and on frozen land. Now imagine playing this on the ice, right? Two players lie on their stomachs facing each other. A leather loop is placed around their heads just above the ears on this part. The goal is to pull the other person across a line or to make the loop slip off. Sometimes the players lock their legs together and pull backward until one of them gives up. Let's talk a little bit about the context. This game is not just about strength. It also needs endurance, resisting a lot, and good technique. Head pool is still played today, and it is one of the popular events at the Arctic Winter Games. If you Google this name, Arctic Winter Games, you will discover other interesting games as the ones we see in these pictures. They're throwing something, probably no, I don't know the name of that. And other games. You see a woman jumping over some logs, right? So the Arctic Winter Game. Okay, take a look at the vocabulary in action later, the next one. Okay, so the action verbs that we have here. Pull, that's what they do with the opponent. The opposite to push, right? Drag, similar, on the floor. You drag something instead of lifting it. Resist and yield, which means allowing or giving way. That is, I let go. Now, examples with modals. Each player must pull with all their strength to win the contest. As we saw in the video, it's a really strong sport. They need a lot of endurance, resistance, so they must pull with all their strength. You can drag your opponent slightly off balance if you move quickly. So depending on your technique, you can drag your opponent. The competitor should resist a force by keeping a strong posture. That's where we use should here to indicate that it sounds like a good idea. And the last one, sometimes you must yield if the pressure is too great to avoid injury, indicating that, well, there is no other choice for you. Okay, and let's go on to the last peculiar sport that we're going to be discussing today, but let's stop first for a few seconds.
Lo que ocurre en la universidad, los acontecimientos y sus protagonistas están en UMNG Radio.
Tune in and speak up. Hello, English learners. Want to learn something interesting whilst having fun? Welcome to Tune In and Speak Up, the podcast where you'll get to know this beautiful language in depth. Each week, we'll dive into exciting topics, share practical tips, and tell you fascinating English language stories. So whether you're studying, going to work, or just relaxing, connect, listen, and let's make English part of your world. Wherever you are, whenever you want, just hit play, tune in and listen up. Tune in to UMNG Radio every Tuesday from 11 a.m. till noon. Don't just learn English, live it.
Okay, so let's go on to the last peculiar sport. This one has been in the news, so it may sound familiar. Wife carrying, Finland, World Championships. Take a look at that picture. In this case, they're going up a mountain. But the video that we're going to watch is in a closed track, so they have different variations for this sport. Okay, let's play this video and let's watch the video while we're talking. Let's see what we're talking about. People are taking it easy. The fences they have to cross. Now the wife carrying the husband. Love that. That looks dangerous. She's with her head underwater for a long time. Okay. Okay. Oh, let's go back to the slide. Our last stop takes us back to Finland, a country known for unusual contests. One of the most famous is the wife carrying World Championships. Every July, in the town of Sonkaharvi, couples from around the world join this funny but difficult race. The man carries his female partner through an obstacle course as fast as possible. The race is 253.5 meters long. That's 2.5 blocks. Okay, that's a long way if you're carrying a heavy person. it has dry land, sand, and water parts. The woman must weigh at least 49 kilograms, and the man can carry her in different ways. Here we have pictures illustrating the different options they have. The first one is called piggyback, on the back, a tuta, as we would say. Fireman's carry in the middle, over the shoulders. And the Estonian carry, which is the most popular, the woman hangs upside down with her legs around the man's shoulders and her head near his lower back. The winner is the couple that finishes in the fastest time. And the prize? The woman's weight in beer. So if your wife weighs 50 kilograms and you win, that's what you get, 50 kilograms of beer, which may be a lot of beer. Okay, this event comes from an old story. In the 19th century, a Finnish robber named Herkko Rosvo Ronkainen told his men to show strength by carrying heavy sacks, or even women, on their backs while running in the forest. That story, mixed with village humor, later became the race. So this criminal, this robber, was trying to do was training his gang members to run with the things they would rob from homes, etc. Since the first official event in 1992, the wife carrying world championships have become international, with participants from the USA, Australia, Japan, Estonia, and many more. I don't know if there have been any Colombians involved. Okay, let's talk about the vocabulary and the modals in action. Okay, so the verbs here: balance, stagger, dash, and sprint. So, and some examples with modals. The runner must balance his partner carefully on his back to avoid falling. They might stagger through the muddy track when they get tired. Oh, look at that picture. Wow. You can dash forward on the flat sections to gain speed. That is going faster. Dash. Remember this movie, The Incredibles? Dash, the little boy. The couple should sprint at the finish line to secure victory, to indicate that this is a good idea. Okay. Why people love this sport? Yeah, it looks funny, but that is the fun. The race mixes humor, teamwork, romance, and real physical effort. For the public, it is very entertaining. For the couples, it is hard but exciting at the same time. And for the winners, carrying your wife to victory and winning her weight in beer is a story to remember forever. Okay, so we are about to finish. So what can we conclude? Today, we explored 6 of the world's strangest sports. Believe me, I left 100 out because there are many. We talked about cheese rolling, box snorkeling, shin kicking, swamp football, the Inuit sport of pool head, and the wife carrying competition. Each one combines tradition, challenge, and community fun in its own unusual way. We also practice describing actions with vivid verbs like wade, plunge, balance, and sprint, and learn how to use modal verbs to talk about rules, abilities, and possibilities. So here's a challenge for you. Think of an unusual sport or tradition from Colombia. How would you describe it in English? How would you describe tejo, for example? What must participants do? What can they try? What should they avoid? And what might they experience? So try to combine the idea of an unusual Colombian sport with these modals, with the use of these modals. Remember, learning a language is a bit like swamp football or wife carrying. You may stumble, stagger, or squelch through the mud to indicate that learning a new language might be really difficult or challenging at times. But if you keep practicing, you'll always reach the finish line. Thank you so much for joining me today on Tune In and Speak Up, the podcast from Universidad Militar Nueva Granada. Don't forget to share it with your classmates, friends, or fellow English learners. This season, as we have expressed before, we'll continue exploring unusual but meaningful topics that show how language, history, and everyday life are deeply connected. If today's episode helped you learn something new or gave you a new perspective on culture and communication, then our mission is complete. If you'd like to share your thoughts, reflections, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Your ideas help us improve, and your voice helps shape future episodes. This podcast is for learners like you, curious, committed, and ready to take the next step. We'll be back next week with another topic that might surprise you, make you think, or spark a conversation in English. In the meantime, keep listening, keep practicing, and most of all, keep speaking up. Until next time, Leito, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Lo que ocurre en la universidad, los acontecimientos y sus protagonistas están en UMNG Radio.
Desde la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada, en Bogotá, Colombia, transmite UMNG Radio. UMNG Radio. Una emisora alternativa, cultural e independiente. Desde la Universidad Militar Nueva Granada. Esta es UMNG Radio.